So in the last video, I spent some time talking about transparency. And transparency is often what we offer to the group as we begin to trust them. Today, I want to talk about the flip side, is how do we respond to people who are being transparent and sharing and self-disclosing and telling us what's going on. So the fourth facet of a healthy small group is actually empathy. When people start to share with us where they're at, being authentic, being open, and being honest, some of those things are hard to hear, and sometimes it would be easy for us to simply ignore it and say, well, we're going to pretend like that didn't happen. But if you've ever tried to share something that mattered to you and been ignored, you know how deeply hurt and painful that can feel. So when people share something with us in openness and honesty in a small group setting, we need to acknowledge it, hear it, really listen and understand what's going on and why they're sharing that thing. And respond in ways that show empathy, that show care, compassion for the other people in our group. Why would we do that? It's just a work environment. Why would I care about my coworkers? Well, first, let me point out that there is a concept in every major world religion, no matter which one you go to, with a few tiny exceptions, but almost every major world religion accepts the concept of the golden rule. Do unto others what you would have them do to you, or do not do to others what you would have they wouldn't do to you. The golden rule is the basis, in my mind, for all of civil society, for the capacity for people to engage in real relationships with one another if we start just with the golden rule. Regardless of which religion, regardless of which background you come from, the golden rule sets the stage for all relationships. So if I'm going to enter into a small group space and think about the golden rule and say, this person is sharing something. If I were sharing something, how would I want someone to respond to me? I've been in a lot of small groups. I've led a bunch of small groups. And I've seen moments when people shared something and there was no empathy in the room. And it was hard. I mean, it was almost palpable how tense, how stressed, how difficult the room got. And you know what happened in that moment? It started to drain, like somebody pulled the bottom out of a sink or a bathtub. It just drained the trust right out of the room. Because people were like, are we going to acknowledge what just happened? Are we going to say what just happened? And even talk through it? And even respond appropriately to it? Are we going to show empathy to the person who just said that? Watch the trust just go away when it didn't happen. And you know what actually happened? When I saw people respond appropriately and caring and say, hold on, let's just stop for a moment and talk about what just happened or what you just shared, because that's a really powerful and deep thing, and I want to acknowledge it and I want to help you. Some people would say, well, wait a second. Does that mean I have to agree with them? What if they said something that was completely false that I didn't agree with? They said something completely hurtful. I understand. Empathy, caring for other people, showing compassion to other people, does not necessarily mean that you have to agree with that person. In fact, for Christians, we're taught to love our neighbor as ourself. This is a crucial concept for us because Jesus keeps saying this phrase, love your neighbor as yourself, because he needs it to go beyond, well, let's just get along, to actually trying to help one another. But the scriptures also teach us a really crucial concept, that we are to speak the truth to one another in love. And I actually think that's what makes empathy work in a small group. When we start showing love and care to one another, and when we start to be in a place with one another where we're transparent and caring to one another, we can actually start sharing the truth with each other. Why? Well, let's ask yourself a question. If you had to choose between a person saying, I'm just going to share the truth with you and I don't really care how you feel or what you think, or a person who says, I deeply care about you as a person, as a whole person, and all the thoughts and feelings and things that are going on in your world and all the challenges you're facing, all the strengths and weaknesses you bring to the table. I care about you. So here's something I need to challenge you with and encourage you with and push you on because I care. Which one are you going to listen to? I'd wager the vast majority of time you're going to listen to the person who cared. Because when we speak the truth in a context, in a group, who actually cares and shows empathy to one another, you will begin to realize that people can hear things that they can't actually hear without that care and empathy and love for one another. So what am I saying to you? I'm encouraging you in this. Respond to one another in empathy the way you would have the other people in your small group respond in empathy to you when you are being open and authentic. When you do this, the golden rule will create a small group that is healthy and growing and flourishing.